that there's already some people in here. That makes me feel good. Welcome to the live. This is gonna be like Zeus. Is this how you face me? And the whole inspiration of this reading was basically me feeling like I was suffering through divine wrath. And then I was like, whoa, wouldn't that be a cool reading idea? So we have four piles here, and I'll just kind of briefly explain this. I chose like divine masculine archetypes as the pile headers because I feel like that's what Zeus represents. So we have father, god, government, and then clusterfuck. This is like an eclipse energy actually. So I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Berserk, but if not, check out the community tab because I literally just posted like an 8 hour long video about the Berserk like 1997 animated series, so you can definitely just like watch it and get an idea of what that berserk energy is in pile number 4, because I was just gonna leave it to the first three piles at first, but then I was like, what if all three were happening at the same time, and then like someone needs to know like what the fuck to do because they're like really overwhelmed, because and that's also why I chose carnelian for this one, and this rock is like kind of reminds me of the egg, um the behelit, I think it's pronounced. So yeah, this one is probably gonna be one of the more intense ones. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into it, man. Cause my energy honestly is a little low. I debated like waiting longer to record this, but I was like, no. I'm trying to get into the habit of behavior where I have more of an enduring spirit. Like I'm more hardy as a person. And I feel like that kind of ties into this father energy. I pre-shuffled, but I don't really know what all the cards are. So let me just like sit with this for a little bit. I also chose amethyst, and I think I'm gonna repost to the community tab the Steven Universe scene where amethyst takes Steven to where she was born. And I don't even really remember it, and I meant to watch it before coming on here, but I just ran out of time. But from what I remember, amethyst was born from like this. Oh, hey, Sky. Sky reminds me of Zeus too, for obvious reasons, to me. But yeah, she comes from this like underground, like farm where they like mass produce gems. Like amethyst is a pretty common crystal to come across. It's pretty cheap if you want to go and buy it. And it's related to the crown chakra. My cat just pulled up and she's meowing at me. She's my seraphim, and she relates to the crown chakra. Her food has a purple clip on it. And I actually have to go through special process just to protect her food. Because for whatever reason, my guides, like, it was really important that I put her food, not only like it comes in a bag, but I have to put it in another bag, and then I also have to put it in the fridge. So like there's like her food is very like special and protected. So yeah, you could be special or protected or come from some kind of special bloodline here. Like, and this is crown chakra once again, so it could also be like royalty. My last name is Hyde, which is related to British royalty, like Hyde Park. There's lots of like streets that you can go to and literally see like my name on them. So that's something that's cool. You might be able to relate to some kind of like, even if your name is just like common, like Michael, um, whatever. It's like there's something about your name here, like what you've inherited and how that relates to this energy. And maybe even some of your frustration, because when you inherit things, you don't necessarily have control over what you're inheriting. You just kind of come into the world with it. So there could be some kind of like oh my gosh, predisposition for something that comes from a father, or if not just like the father, then just like your bloodline. Like you could be predisposed to like an addiction or to an illness, or just like a way of being. Like you might look like your father or look like your mother or behave like them in some kind of like easily seen or noted way. Like you could have like the facial appearance of one of your parents or the mentality of one of your parents. Okay, so I have this split so where we're gonna discuss you, and then we're also gonna discuss like the other side. So in this case, father, whoever that is. It doesn't have to be your actual father. Please don't misunderstand me. And then we have these cards are gonna present like the value of the conflict, right? No, this is how the weapon is forming. Like what is the inconvenience basically, and then this is the value of the conflict. And then we're gonna clarify, Sky. We're gonna clarify at the end how you come out of this situation with the bone dead throw. Shout out to Sky. We love Sky. We love farmers. bum, 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 bum. So let's go ahead and start. Your karmic imbalance is the lustful. Number 32. Affirmation: I embrace my individuality and sexuality as sacred gifts. Oh, he's naked. Oh my gosh. But yeah, you booked the reading. I saw that. I'm gonna. Do you want me to live record it? I usually just do it through like audio, but if you want specifically a live recording, let me know in the. Oh, you already booked it. Just let me know right now. But in the future, if you're watching this and you want like a reading that you can see, let me know that you want me to record it for my channel, and I can do that for you. Okay. And then how you're instinctually reacting. We have the full moon, another sky deck. Shout out to Sky. And your shadow is the coyote in reverse. Intelligence and unpredictability. I'm going to leave it in reverse. Just for the sake of sakes. And then this is father. So their karmic imbalance. Holy shit! Did I not just say we are farmers? Okay, that's crazy. Affirmation: I enjoy being of service to those who deserve it. That is insane. I don't know if YouTube is down. Okay, I can't read the comments and focus, so I'm gonna like dial back into this reading, and we can discuss specifics later if need be. Their shadow is fox, adaptability, and reactivity in the reverse. Yeah, I'm immediately picking up on like a difference here, and like a difference but also a similarity kind of in the fox and the coyote. Like both of them are alert, but this guy is definitely more defensive. Maybe towards what he's grown. This guy is more like curious and like a wanderer, pioneer vibes. This guy feels like he has territory to defend. Or like a name to represent. Could be like a brand. Like I just did like an advertisement slogan thing. We are farmers. Okay. This is how they're instinctually reacting. We have meant to be moon called. We are farmers. It's playing like a lot in my head right now. We also have dark moon, the past in reverse. Interesante. So it looks like immediately you're in this more like, I want to have experiences. I'm trying to gain experiences. I'm so excited to have experiences. But also like a change energy. I'm also noticing that this is a 30 and this is a 32. So you're coming out as like somewhat of an expansion of like a previously existed energy. And you're bringing it honestly into a less stable energy because a 3 is like a triangle, and that's kind of like, you know, that stands on its own. But a 5, who knows? You know, Pentagon might roll around and it might just be weird. So we don't know something about your energy and how you're developing over time, because even Amethyst in the TV show Steven Universe has this like unpredictable nature, and she's known to be chaotic and rebellious. But it's like of mental pursuit. It's not like ill-intentioned. This is you following your divine path. So I hope that when I'm explaining this, I'm coming through objectively, because that's my goal as a reader. But I do feel like I understand how this energy is reacting to your energy, because this energy goes beyond what this energy is comfortable with. Like, you want to leave the farm kind of a thing. Or you at least are curious about what exists beyond the boundaries of the farm. Or you're smart enough to know that everything that's being presented to you isn't everything that is. Okay, so how is the weapon forming? We have message of freedom in reverse. Communication. I didn't really plan how this was going to sit on the desk, so bear with me. We are farmers. A message to pass on. Boom. Father. Farmer. Like, inheritance, you know? The farmer has to have at least one son to, like, continue the farm after him. Duality. I think that that's really interesting, because it didn't all come out black and white, but that's how they're settling on the desk. So this could be a situation that needs time to fully develop, So if you're experiencing it right now and you're like, ah, my dad, or like, oh, this father, or like whoever that is, you know, because you may not have picked that because of your actual father. But, you know, whoever you're dealing with wrath from right now, it feels like that situation, like it becomes clear in the end, even before we get to like that part. The value of it is to set things straight in some kind of way, light and dark. And it's interesting that you're on this dark side because dark is divine masculine. So it's Shiva energy. Like you could be the destroyer. This is 5. This is the change. Whether that's for the better or for the worst, I feel like that not knowing that duality is what is putting this fox person into their defensive energy of needing to like feel like they need to know how to even prevent you from having some kind of negative consequence. Because this person is like, you know, they may be more solidified in their position, but they still have like the ability to move around in some way. So if they feel like in their instinctual nature, because this is their instinctual response, like we're using darker shadowy energy here, like their internal world. So if they feel like they have a reason, this is also like broadly intelligent energy between the both of you, to like need to defend, their natural instinct or inclination is going to be to take that defensive position. I kind of get this energy also of like some of you guys being like maybe like on like if there was a spectrum, you may take something further than what someone else is comfortable with. Like this like one of us energy kind of feels important to this energy because of how important it is for it to see its continuation into the future. Like this is honestly a long-term like stable energy. It doesn't really like it may have threats, but it has like identified ways to react to threats. Like the head is already facing towards like this energy of change. So whatever threatening presence you might have towards this energy, it already knows how it wants to respond to you. At least it thinks it does. I don't know that like it can stop you, right? Because like 31, you know, it eventually does go to 32. Like that's a natural progression. So I think that there could be an identification through like any meditation that this person or organization or whatever has the ability to like take on. I feel like there's a lot of exchange of energy here. It makes me feel like this is happening like over a long period of time. Like maybe you live with someone and you have like a long back and forth, you know, like this is a situation that's been in development for quite a period of time. It's like an intellectual battle or like, but I do feel like, you know, both of these energies enjoy that about the other is that they feel matched, even if it's like in opposites. It's like Batman Joker, kind of. Although I don't know that like it has to go to this extreme as like, okay, we're trying to kill each other or trying to put you in jail kind of a thing. I mean, it could for some of you, depending on how like threatening you are to this system that this farmer has. But yeah, I feel like somehow I'm like talking more about how this energy feels towards you. Like I don't even know if you really have that much like in response. Because your energy feels like, this kind of feels like page energy. Like you're just in the explorative, like I'm trying to figure out my life kind of a thing. And you could be struggling to forgive other people who are like oppressing this lustful energy that you have because you want to challenge what exists. Like that's the whole purpose of your karmic balance, like what you're doing right now. Like you're trying to maybe even make your own throne. So if this isn't even someone that's like related to you, this could be someone that just has existed before you. Like you could be creating a new business around someone who has a previously established business in the same industry. And they're like, okay, I see you as a threat because I see that you can grow because there's something about you that I see in myself. And that's the thing here is like, that's what's existing is like, because I see myself in you, I understand how you could be an actual threat to me. And that's why the messages from your side are coming in the reverse because you're not actually saying anything. You're just behaving in a way that this person understands is something maybe to threaten or I don't know. Like this energy says I enjoy being of service to those who deserve it. I feel like there could be like work with me. Like there's like an energy of like come with me, like be on my side. Because if we're on opposite sides, then it's like, you know, like, yes, you are an intellectual equivalent in some kind of way, but I can't really necessarily swallow this duality because of how individualistic we both are in it. So this is an energy that like wants you to come, like it would want to like merge with you and then be like a primary shareholder kind of a thing. And it wants to like, it would facilitate you in getting your experiences. Clearly you want them, clearly you're like motivated to get them. Like you're moving out of like all these like subtle messages that you're doing are also instinctual. So you're not even trying to have this presence. Like clearly you're fit for whatever it is that you're trying to achieve or like push for. So this energy is like, hey, like I could lend something to you, but maybe there's something that I want from you in return and you may or may not be willing to like go for that. And that's kind of like maybe some of the conflict that exists here as well. Okay, so this next part right here, let me look at what I wrote. The value of this conflict. I don't know where I'm gonna put this. And that could be like the fire energy because like this is like you are being like brought in, like absorbed, then it's like you are a unique tool. Where do I put this tool? Or like how do I use this tool? And there may be like a need to like clean you up in some kind of way. Because if you're a real dirty dog, a coyote, like maybe you need to be reformed. Maybe you have had misbehaviors. But that's all like honestly, like although it's your shadow, this is a shadow reading. Like, although it's your shadow, it's also kind of endearing to whoever this is over here. It's like it adds character. I think this situation like appreciates the character and how it's reflected. It's a reflection of their own self. The character and the skill set. Like if this is your actual father and like they were really good at something and then you're coming up and you're showing like promise at being good at that same thing and they're like, oh my god, like it's like maybe a moment of pride here on some level, even if they also have other feelings, like because I do feel like there's all throughout the situation there's like appreciation and then frustration, appreciation, frustration, appreciation, frustration. So I really wouldn't be surprised if this was someone that was like in your family or just like super close to you. Because this is someone who's playing like a close divine masculine role in your life. Like maybe has directly provided to you, directly supported you in some kind of way, directly been of service to you, or at least been available to you if you needed service. Like this is someone who maybe has already pledged allegiance to you, even if you're in this more like, I need to figure out who I am kind of energy. Although this energy is like very much like concerned with its continued sustainability. So if you are a threat to it, it will like, you know, it kind of reminds me of like bacteria in the body. Like if you get flagged as a threat, you get like, yeah. So, yeah. Did I just hear black lightning? Zeus? Anyways. I also want to say, hold on, because there's something that I wrote down before like I even planned this. And I want to say it because it related to this pile. I just gotta move some stuff around. Give me a second. Okay, so look. I wrote Heracles, and I made it a point to write Heracles and not Hercules because I know that we usually learn it as Hercules, but it's important to mention for whoever may like resonate with this, that like you could be under like the oppression of some kind of like stepmother, because Hercules is actually like an I don't like this phrase, but like illegitimate son. So he wasn't born of wedlock to the woman that Zeus is married to. And so he like has a lot of like immediate ops, like straight out of birth, just because he's a bastard son. I don't want to be mean, you know. I'm just using the phrases. I don't agree with the phrases, but I'm using the phrases. So we have heir to the throne, thwarted by haters. But then when I wrote haters, I was like Hades, because you know in the movie he actually is. Haters and Hades kind of sound similar. So. And then battles in adversity that prove and demonstrate strength. So that's kind of like the energy of what's going on here. Like you're like a young dude pioneering in the world kind of. I just channeled also Big Lebowski for whoever may resonate. Okay, so the value of this conflict. 9 of Swords, anxiety. I feel like I'm talking to the kind of people here who have the ability to brush things off really easily. And I feel like that's because of how like intense this situation is. Like this could be a father figure who has like a dark moon, you know? So you have grown up in an environment then of darkness. And so there's some kind of like once again predisposition for the growth that's available to occur here. Like you're not unsuited towards dealing with difficult energy, because you're like the son of Zeus in some kind of metaphorical way. Yes, you are going to deal with like a lot of pressure, but you also are uniquely capable of like carrying the burden of that, like shouldering the burden of that. Some of you guys got like back issues. We have, moving on, 8 of Cups. And when I get like back pain, I have to like ask myself, like, am I standing up straight? And that's, posture is important, not only just like, you know, for your physical health, but also, and like metaphorically, like spiritually speaking, like, are you representing your values in the world? And I feel like occasionally there's like a possibility that both of these energies don't like show up in their values. Like this could be someone who considers himself like a family man, or this could be someone that considers themselves like entitled to be in an especially carefree energy when they're not, you know, and when they're not. So there's the calling of question here, like there's shadow work to be available. And that's the value of this conflict. It's like really looking at ourselves and not just being quick to place the blame outwards towards other. Then we have the 10 of Swords, Ruin, and I kind of want to put it here. And boom, once again, very similar energies on both sides. Lots of like mental, like both of the people are thinking, oh my god, I love what I do. 2 8s and then like all these swords. Both of you guys are like thinking about this a lot, because of how much of a mirror this is. Like one person's in a more fluid energy, with this being the 8 of Cups, and one person's in a more like solid energy. Like this person is maybe less capable of change, but it's because of the fact that they're more committed to their path. You are still like in this energy of like, I'm trying to figure it out. But I also like to think, I like to see how like this is all coming together at this like point at the bottom, which I kind of like, because it makes me feel like either you're growing from somewhere and expanding outwards, or if the energy is coming in, then it's coming in towards a middle ground. Like, once again, this is a situation that, like, when the dust settles, things are very clear. And you see, like, how similar... Sorry, I got a low battery notification. You see how similar you actually are to the other person. And with that in mind, I think we're, like, about to be... Oh, shit, we're not done. Okay, I'm gonna... I'm gonna finish this pile, and then, like, in between the transition, I'm gonna get my charger, so... Okay. Fuck, I forgot what this is about to be about. Oh my gosh. So how you're coming out on the other side, and we already kind of spoke on that, so this will probably just be like more confirmation and details. Feels like things just become clear. So what is clear? 3 of Wands in reverse. I'll just pull 4. 6 of Swords. Lots of travel indicators here. That's 4. But I kind of think I'm gonna pull another one. That kind of sounded, that reminded me of the Transformers machine transitions. Like, when they go from bot to car, or appliance, or jet. Okay, 9 of Pentacles. Sorry guys, I'm getting a little disjointed here. Let me try to reel it back in. It's hard for me to like sit still and focus, so these like longer pick a card readings are honestly like, I'm really proud of myself. Okay, so we have the 3 of Wands, the 6 of Swords, the Empress, the Knight of Cups, the 10 of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Pentacles. How are things moving forward? I think whoever was in... Actually, this is a mutual energy. It's coming out in the reverse. So once again, there's a lot of respect available in the end of this. like chivalry, both people are willing to like acknowledge where the other person has like beat them. So if this is your actual father, then like they acknowledge you as being the next continuation, and they acknowledge that you're like entitled to expand on what was provided to you by their legacy in some kind of way. Even if that does mean like taking a more individual route, like if you're not in your father's ship and you're choosing because of your like, because lustful energy, this is reminding me of like, you know, when people used to go to the queen and be like, hey, can you like fund my excursion to go conquer this land? And the queen is like yes or no based off of like whether or not she fucks with them. So this is like that energy. I if you need this like father presence, whoever they are, it feels like you're needing to bend the knee. Like there's a need to show respect or reverence to this person's way of doing things. If you don't, I feel like you're taking the path of individuation where you're choosing to not rely on this structure. And there's something about like accepting what goes with that. Like relying on your own wits. But I feel like if you choose to do that, that would be like painful to this person, like this farmer, because for like some of them, they might be like, it might just cause them to question their way of doing things. I feel like they're comfortable in their way of doing things, but I feel like their way of doing things, your perceived need to diverge from it then calls into question why. Because this person perceives himself as living in luxury and like having everything and doing things like maybe even in the best way, being the best at what they do. Like the empress from the farmer, it feels like a highly favored situation. So this person could even feel like they have some kind of like divine justification in the same way that you have a divine justification to expand. So the contrast of your ambition could come as a shock because they don't understand it, because it's not natural to them. Not that it doesn't come from like a very similar place. Okay. Awesome. I'm gonna go get my charger. So just sit tight and we're gonna get into pile number 2, which is God. God. Ooh. I'm unplugging my Death Note laptop. I think that's part of the reason why that might have had to happen. We might have to get a little bit more uptight for this writing. I don't know. Me and God don't have like a super like formal relationship, but some of you guys might, and that could be part of the reason why you're feeling like God is trying to beat your ass right now. Okay. Can you show them shut? Jesus Christ, deny your maker. Dog entered the chat. All right. God. In the machine. Oh. Father God. Father God. Some of you guys are Christian and you're coming in here and you're like, what? It's possible. Like you guys could have been having a spiritual awakening. This is labradorite, which is not necessarily I don't know that this is a crown chocolate crystal or not. I don't think that it is, but it is a crystal that I used to rely upon a lot when I did personal readings in the beginning of my cycle of learning, because it's meant to be helpful of giving like some kind of vision or access, clarity, another alarm. But yeah, see, it was kind of like, it has a little sparkly tendency, or at least I feel like it used to more. But once again, I used to use this crystal a lot, so it might not be as sparkly anymore, because, you know, maybe it's absorbed a lot of what I was going through and absorbing in my earlier spiritual journey. And I've spoken about how like people, when my prices were lower, people used to like mass consume them. Like I used to like sell them for $25 and people could just like, you know, buy them like they might buy Chick-fil-A. And that became a problem for me because I was taking on a lot of energy and it was weighing me down. So that's part of the reason why I don't really like use this crystal anymore. And like if this could also be, yeah, like you see how the heart just like turned upside down? That's kind of crazy. But also you might have like a difficult relationship with God. Like I'm kind of like coming into this feeling like you might have some confusion towards what God actually is. And if like you're coming into this reading and like maybe you've never even seen like readings before like this, then you might be like, well, this is kind of a darker lady, so like I don't know if she's really a good representation of like divine force energy. And I think that I would encourage you to recognize that God and the devil exist in tandem, and that neither can really exist without the other. So you have to have, or in my philosophy, I have to have a strong understanding of both the light and the dark. And I've integrated quite a bit of my darkness into my identity. And I find that that actually makes me a lot more powerful than the average person who limits themselves to only what other people would accept from them, because our society is like fake. You know, a lot of it, like we have these cultural norms that just kind of like put icing on top of this donut that is like, once again, a clusterfuck, which is right over here in the background. So we'll get to that in pile number 4, which also has like this behelit. So some of you guys could like, you know, once again, really have a conflicting or a difficult relationship with God because you may have worshipped false gods and not really known that because your understanding of God is kind of like skewed maybe by indoctrination of some kind. So let me just say, like, for a second, what I think God is. I've always kind of like described God as the energy that connects all things in existence, living and undead, or living and dead. So you might have like, you know, how do I explain this? Everything that exists is made up of atoms, and all these things vibrate. And the only reason why the atoms that are here right now are attracted together is because there's something about their polarity that attracts them to each other. So you could have, through whatever, maybe even through like an inherited God, right? Because I left the amethyst crystal on the table on accident. You may have come into the world with some kind of religion. So I come from Christianity, and I always felt like I wanted to have, hold on, I gotta close my door because my neighbors just came in. They're weird, and I already feel their energy being weird, so let me just close the door. Let me just prevent that from even being a problem. Sorry, guys. I live in a weird place. But yeah. So you could come from, like I said, me, Christianity. I really desired a relationship with God, and I was like really a strong part of my like familial church that I was like brought into. And I joined the church when I was like 7, and I was baptized when I was 14. And you know, I really loved God, but then I had like a falling out with God during one of my spiritual awakenings, like dark nights of the soul, because I had been repeatedly assaulted by like a family member, and I was like, God, like you're selling me out so bad here, like what is it, like what is going on? Like why are you doing this to me? Why is this my circumstance, and why can't I like escape it? Like I didn't understand why God would give me difficult experiences if he loved me. So there's something here about like that and how you're being developed by the energies at play that occasionally may put you in a difficult emotional position. But that isn't meant to like take you away from God. It's only really meant to redirect you towards God. So try not to like see God or the energy that connects all things in existence as your enemy, because there's no way that you can really win seeing the energy that connects all things as your enemy. You really want to be aligned and like allied with that force and not try to resist it, even when it does direct you down like darker pathways. So that being said, yeah, it just keeps going upside down. And I literally just charged this crystal on the full moon with like this candle right over here. So it's not like, you know, it's just, it's being like that right now. I think it might be a dud. I don't think I necessarily really want to use that anymore. And if you relate to me and you come from like a Christian background and then maybe at some point you became like less religious and more spiritual, it's okay to kind of like put it down for a little bit if you need to like figure out what you would do independently beyond the restriction. Because there was a point in time when I like outright rejected Christianity, and I was like, I used to wear a cross on my neck like every single day, and I inherited that like as an heirloom in my family. Like there was a gem on it that had my birthstone and everything, and I just stopped wearing it because I was like, this doesn't properly represent me anymore. And then at one point when I was wearing it, I was kind of wearing it out of anxiety because I was like, I gotta have this cross on my neck, so if I ever get like held up in some kind of like public store shooting and I'm held at hostage, they'll look at my neck and be like, oh, she's a Christian, let's not kill her. So these are things like I was clinging to Christian God out of fear. Like I was a very scared child. I had a lot of reasons to be scared. I grew up in like I grew up in really difficult environments where like I had nothing to hold on to but like this idea of a God. So that's kind of like a little bit about me. But let's see what's going on in the cards. So funny. Okay, so let's see. We have the loner affirmation. I enjoy being alone and getting in touch with my true feelings. And that came out in the reverse. The picture is this. Your shadow animal is the swan. Self-love and purity. I'm sorry if it's shaking. I don't know why that is. And then talk to the moon, communicate in the reverse. This is your instinctual response. So when I planned this, it was like fight, flight, or freeze. And we have communicate in the reverse. And then this is God's energy, whoever they are. We have the manifestor in reverse. Affirmation, I am manifesting what I see in my mind's eye. Then we have dear, grace, and kindness. And then moon mastery, law of attraction. So yeah, this kind of like confirms more of what I was saying, where you don't really want to overly confirm the idea that the energy that connects all things is in opposition to you. You may definitely feel like you're being kicked out, like you're being isolated or even ostracized, or like your devotion and your loyalty to God is being tested. I feel like that's kind of the point of this, is like, how deep and dark can like God or the universe push you before you decide to like go back against God and the universe. And I feel like you're meant to like really be trying to not break your stance here, because the number 36 comes to a 9, which reflects like maturity. Like it's Sagittarius energy, which is the most developed fire sign, so it's not childish, it's not impulsive, it's like premeditated. So you want to be the kind of person who's thinking more long term and about whatever situation is at hand, because there's a good chance if you just like find some kind of stillness that you'll be able to like move more gracefully and also show more loyalty to either yourself or to the ideals that you want to commit to. So God is coming out. It's funny, I've never like said that before. God is coming out with the manifestor, which makes a lot of sense. So it's a number 5. This God is coming through with like change. So like I said, I think you're being pushed by God in this situation to continue to either like create this self and this philosophy even through adversity, right? Because like even me, I'm like in my community respected as like a spiritual leader. I literally give spiritual advice, but I wasn't always the version of myself that I am today. And I've gone through like ups and downs in my relationship to God. And I think that God is kind of just asking you to be like, hey, like this is a down. There's going to be more that comes. And in fact, I'm probably going to bless you with some more stuff if you just kind of like keep your eyes open. So, and there's also like this thing where the deer like shed their horns and they have to like rub. It's actually a pretty like gross thing to see. But they rub the like outside skin of their horns off till it's just bone. Like they literally self-harm. And then it just kind of like grows back. But they have to do that, I think, in order for the horns to grow, because the horns are bone. So it's like either do it or just like go through some kind of other more difficult pain. So that's kind of like what the situation is asking you. Like, do you take the path of like God holding your hand, or do you reject God and be like, you're not holding my hand even though you are, and it's just like a dark pathway, and then end up having to black swan it out? Because you might end up rejecting yourself through trying to protect yourself from a situation that you're not actually at risk of being in danger of. So God is coming out with like grace. So like there's like this energy of forgiveness available. It's like there may even be this energy of you being able to make leaps and bounds of internal progress that allows for you to bring in some kind of much more fulfilling manifestation here that reflects your stature spiritually. because God is like reflecting you over here. Like if you're struggling and you're alone and you're in the dark and you're like focusing on that, then that's kind of what you're going to continue to manifest. And moving it, like I'm talking about the current energy because we're in October right now. Moving into the winter, it's definitely going to be a good idea, especially if you struggle with like seasonal depression and you're alone, to really like foster that connection that you have with your like source of like sense of purpose in the world and loyalty to that. Because like there may not be always other people or other things around you to keep you going. And if it's not winter in terms of like a literal season, then this is just like a time of scarcity. I've been thinking about like military, the base training and how you have to like, you know, give up your phone and like for me that would be something that felt really scary because like my connection to my accounts and like facilitating them and using them to make money, like that's my root chakra, that's my security, that's my safety. So to like give that up and then become like to be fully submissive to that process is something that like I struggle to like, you know, swallow basically. But I just moved the loner over because I realized that it was in the wrong place. And I brought it closer to the center of the reading. So you might literally end up having to do some kind of situation where you are put in, even if it's not like as extreme as that, because there is like a literal desert here. Like, yeah, your root chakra and your sacral chakra, like your emotions and your feeling of security in the world is what's really feeling like it's being threatened. Which is all the more reason to have this strong connection with God. You don't want to like kick God away or like feel like you're not still being favored even in the situation of lack or scarcity, because that would be to kind of like spit in the face of the energy that wants to support you. Okay, so why is this weapon forming? We have secrets, regrets, and education. I spoke about the 9th house there, and that represents higher education, like college degrees and such. Why is my finger itching? Guys, don't piss me off. Don't piss me off. We're only halfway through. Okay, so I feel like there's more that you need to know about yourself and about the world around you that you can only really like gain these experiences by shedding the skin, by doing this like metaphorical self-harm. And when I say self-harm, it just really means like knowing that you're going into the thick of it, but doing that anyways. Because I also know a lot of other things about why like being in the Marine and surrendering all your personal freedoms can like really not be that great, because you end up often being victim of circumstances that you can't fully defend yourself from. But that's kind of the point, is like, you know, to make you into a certain kind of person, you kind of have to go through a certain kind of darkness. And I think that situations and organizations like that, they want to kind of have that complete and total submission for the ways that they can mold you into who they want you to be. So yes, there is a lot of trust in that, and that can be difficult for someone who is so self like oriented. Like for someone who only trusts himself to then surrender all trust to other and then have to respect other as almighty and all powerful, it's a difficult transition. For sure. And like there's stuff about yourself that you're gonna, like, if you go through with this process, if you decide to engage with it, that you're gonna have to learn and uncover. And there are maybe secrets to be kept, or like subtle knowledge to be gained that isn't like you can't really share with other people. Like part of how you could be feeling like you're all alone in the desert is like you're in a literal badland in some kind of way, and you are like the pure thing in, because this is literally, I'm not just like saying this, literally says purity. So like if you're like the spark of light in the darkness here, I feel like you're being changed. And not every single way that you're being changed right now is like ways that you're going to feel proud of or even want to tell anybody or like, but all of that is a part of where you need to get like on the edge. Yeah, because it's a bridge, man. You gotta get on the other end of the rainbow. But once you get over there, it's like awesome when you can do awesome stuff and make leaps and bounds. Yeah, you're going from like fluttering over the water to having like material presence. And honestly, this feels like it kind of frees you up more. Bit like sacrifice. Which, once again, ties into pile number 4, clusterfuck. If you're here, you might enjoy watching clusterfuck. Stay tuned for clusterfuck. Okay, so this is, I think this is the value of it. Yeah. 10 of Pentacles. 2 of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles. Princess of Cups. 3 of Cups. Very interesting how, like, this side over here was the watery energy, and this was the earthy energy, and now it's the exact opposite. So, yeah, you're going through a change where you're shifting from maybe being more feminine to be more masculine, or vice versa. And you're definitely going to have to, like, maybe, like, perceive a lack of security, because that's the key word of this card. So maybe you're going to have to give up maybe something that, you know, feels important to you. But you're being encouraged to be optimistic about how that actually does prelude a future abundance. And then let that optimism continue to motivate you throughout this cycle. You have a vision of like where you want to go, but you have to remember that there's a lot of steps in between where you are right now and there, and not every step is one that you're going to be able to see, and sometimes you're meant to stumble on the steps. Like, that might be a fear of yours, but I don't know that you can fully avoid your fear here. And this kind of reminds me of that like Batman arc when he's in the cave, when Bane puts him there. He's like, you don't know shit about the dark, sit your ass here while I take over the world and think about the fact that you're a little bitch. And it's like a degradation thing, you know? Like, you get degraded when you go into the military. So, like, that could be, like, what this is. You could be feeling like God is literally shitting on you in some kind of way. Or, like, you're just, like, if this isn't actual God, this is just someone who's playing God, like, a godlike force in your life. Like, they could be gatekeeping your manifestations here. But they have the power to do that because they have the power to do that somehow. Okay, I think that's all. Okay, so we're gonna move into like how you're coming out of this in the end. How is pile number 2 coming out of their conflict with Zeus? Wait. Seven of Swords. I love this deck. Shout out to Sky. What else? How is pile number 2 coming out of their conflict with Zeus? Or God? 6 of Cups in reverse. Sorry, I want to show you, but I get impatient. 5 of Swords in reverse. Page of Swords in reverse. Yeah, I think there's a thing about impatience here. Yep, Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And then the Ace of Pentacles finally comes out. Yeah. So you're best suited to embrace the cycles of life and go where you feel led. I know that, like, in a previous cycle of life, it may have been more important for you to be individual, separate from affiliation. But there could be a unique value to creating community for the ways that it gives you a future platform. Future platform. And with this, like, law of attraction, I don't know who you guys want to be, but it feels like there's a lot of money and status associated with that, maybe even like public leadership positions. And there's a need to understand what's at play if you're gonna lead and conduct what's at play. So if you are frustrated with God and you would seek to replace God, like how would you do it and make that plan? This is a good time to like ask yourself if you're truly capable of creating solutions to the things that you're frustrated with. If you are, then why aren't you? And if you aren't, then like why feel that way? Or like why have so much internal resistance against what is? And that's what I mean with like releasing yourself to just go with the flow here. I'm not saying just like accept anything and whatever, but I am saying that there could be a change at play, which means that you need to be okay with introducing new elements that you've never experienced before. And for as long as you're stuck in your comfort zone with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse and you're not willing to receive because of your need to remain secure and have this complete sense of assurity, the harder it's going to be for you to make that transition, and the more external disruption may have to take place before you finally let go and submit to it. Because I do feel like ultimately, maybe if there was even a little bit more pressure on you, you might move in a certain direction. But there could be a desire for you internally to hold on to something that maybe even you know is not true or practical or real. Just because of the fact that it's like it's more comforting than the truth. Like, let's say, for example, because I'm not saying that I'm God, but let's say, for example, I'm playing this God role in your life right now, and you're coming from like maybe some of this like Father God energy, and you're like Christian God, and you're like, well, I don't believe in the value of what you're doing here today because it's coming in the form of cards, you know? That could be something that's happening where it's like, I don't really feel like I can accept this because it's not familiar to me. And that causes internal like cognitive dissonance. Like, I kind of like what you're saying. I kind of feel like I relate to this, and that I kind of want to be a part of it. But as far as committing to saying that I agree with it or that I'm going to be a part of it, I don't know that I can. And it's like if you need time, that's what the purpose of the situation is, because Nine of Pentacles is here. Like, this may not be something that you can just snap your fingers and do. But I do feel like you have a sense of interest here in something that does push you out of your perceived security. And you have some kind of battle with yourself about whether or not you should continue to allow yourself to explore that energy. And I think you're encouraged to see what's on the other end of the rainbow, because I do feel like there's something good over there. I'm seeing 13 people in the live right now, and 13 is one of my special numbers, my magical numbers. So like literally law of manifestation or law of attraction, moon mastery, and the Ace of Pentacles with the grace and kindness coming from God with the manifestor. Like whatever you want, you can definitely have, but it may require some more discipline, more patience, not only with the situation, but also with yourself and what you need to go through internally in order to be a match to what you want on the other end. Okay. Boom. Shakalaka. Let's move into pile number 3, which is the government. Wait, do we already do government? Oh my God, this already is pile number 3. Is it not? No, it's not. This pile number 3 is the government. I'm not lying. I don't know if there's some kind of external interference, but I dismiss you now. I'm also gonna light some more incense. That's like the thing about, and we do have the police car over here. So, that's the thing about kind of like coming to a point of status, right? Because we just talked about Father, and now we talked about God, and now we're getting to government, which is kind of like the God of the material world. So, yeah, this could be something about like, I'm talking about Zeus, which is a divine masculine energy. There could be literal men in here, but regardless, divine masculine energy is growing as we kind of get through these, or at least like the intensity of their influence on you is kind of growing. Because like your father is like in your home, but like you can get out of your house. God is like in your mind, but like you can reject God. The government, like as a human being, you kind of can't escape. I mean, you could try, but like it's difficult and there's like repercussions. So we'll see. Like, I hope that makes sense the way I explain that. I'm always hoping to make sense. Always hoping for that. Okay. So yeah, I think this is gonna be kind of like funny maybe. We have the tiger's eye, and I was getting like Eye of the Tiger, kind of like Scarface, or Goodfellas, maybe. Eye of the tiger. Where are you, sneaky bastard? Some of you guys could be like living outside the law in some kind of way to whatever extent. And that doesn't mean that you're like wrong, right? Because I know a lot of us think of like the government as being right, but a lot of times they're not. So you can easily become an enemy of the government for just opposing the government's agenda. And that's the part of it being the material world God is that it can be corrupted. And that's why it's not like true God. Okay. So we have the truthful, number 33. Affirmation, I speak my truth and expect everyone I care about to do so too. This is the lady on the back. She has butterfly wings. Starfish. Wishes and sensitivity, and then dark side of the moon. This is like your instinctual shadow responses to the situation at hand. We have the friend in reverse, so it's kind of like fake. It's like Two-Face, literally Harvey Dent. Affirmation, I'm my own best friend. And magnetize other loving friendships. And I was talking about corruption, right? Like self-interest. But yeah, at least it has some like cute stuff on the front and back though. I'm getting like this life imitates art energy, so beware of like communication from the government that comes in subtle forms, like what you can't, like it's not what it looks like, but it also is what it looks like. So just look for that stuff that's like hidden in plain sight, or maybe don't look for it. Maybe you don't want to look for it. Maybe you just want to be aware that it exists. Not everybody wants to look for it, but I'm getting tiger's eyes, so maybe you are a seer. You guys hear that? That commotion outside. I said I was gonna like the incense, didn't I? Okay, so we have viper, literal snake, fear and healing, and then moonlight serenade, change your tune. So yeah, there's a lot of performance happening over here, like snake charmer. The friend came out in the reverse. This situation is not what it presents itself as being. So this is a situation where maybe you actually are experiencing genuine wrath from someone. Like you've been infected with some kind of poison, or you're under some kind of spell, like you Pied Piper kind of thing. You've been deluded in some kind of way to believe something by someone with some kind of malicious intent, or at least not straightforward intentions. It doesn't have to be malicious, but it's at least not straightforward. You're on the other side coming with like a genuine truthful energy. Literally says truthful, so I'm not just making it up. Where you're also very individualistic. So there could be something about you through your individualism, through like the specifics of your circumstances and how that makes you different from what's normal or average, maybe even more vulnerable. That maybe it makes you look like a prime target for this kind of like either spell casting or absorbing or infecting of energy. You're coming out with the dark side of the moon mystery, so I feel like I feel like you could be like this Nancy Drew kind of person, even if you're not a woman. You're intelligent and you want to know the truth, and maybe your willingness to find out about the truth goes beyond what's average because you're super focused. And this honestly gives me like Inception vibes. So once again, like there's like this illusion element of maybe you breaking through like some kind of fourth wall here. And so now you're just like yeah, the Matrix kind of vibes, like Agent Smith and Neo kind of a thing. And that's why you have like the eye of the tiger on you. Like if you are experiencing wrath, if you are feeling like you're being like bullied in any kind of way, like yeah, you are. But it's really a reflection of your strength and individuality and like star power here. Like you are going like the only reason why you are getting so much attention from these forces, like these governmental forces, positive and negative, is because of the access that you have to their sensitivities. So, like, remember that you have some leverage here, even if you are smaller than this force, even if you're not even as capable of moving around. And you also have this ability to regenerate quickly that is like whatever truths you're getting, even if they're negative and full of poison, you like respond to well. Tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. Oh, yeah. Thanks for that. Message retracted? No. Okay, whatever. Oh, retracted, redacted, right? Classified information. So there could be some withholding of truth here. An imbalance, 11 is like a justice card, so there could be some kind of corruption, like once again, within the scales of balance. So checks and balances could be out of whack here. You could be just like suffering from what you know is unfair, but also don't have the power to control or change. So there could be a value to documenting your truth, especially if this is a situation that needs time to pan out before like the light can come back on to the situation. Like if you're on the dark side of the moon, you might have to wander a little bit to get back into the light. That could take time, trial and error. But documenting your process here could be helpful in terms of defense, especially if you can't move around or you're feeling vulnerable to like this situation that has like all the mechanisms to like not only attack you, but like plan attacks on you. Orchestrate attacks on you. Okay, so why is this weapon forming? Literally repression. That is insane. No kizzy. Repression and reproach is insane. It's funny. It's not funny, probably. Karmic message and karmic relationship. Yeah, dude. Seriously. It feels like you're really being treated unfairly, and you know that. And like maybe even other people who are treating you unfairly are very aware that they're doing that to you. Like they know what they're doing, so they're not gonna like apologize. You shouldn't expect apologies from these people. These are like snaky snakes, and they're snakes through and through, and they're committed to being that way, and maintaining their snake alliances. So if you're threatening them or their snake friends, then you should expect to like kind of suffer. And in this situation, like this is maybe avoidable if you would just like back away from your truth. But that's like that's how you're being developed here, is like, are you the kind of person who backs away from truth just because it's difficult to be who you are? This also reminds me of V from Vendetta with like the lesbian relationship, and back at the time when it was like illegal to be gay. Like, you know, is it gonna stop you? Like, that's up to you to decide. Obviously it's gonna be hard, but like you could definitely keep going. And I feel like there are like rewards for making it through this energy if you choose to, because you're coming out with like more mastery. Like these are both like master numbers, like 11 and 33, but you have more. So I think you could defeat this, but it would take you believing in your individuality as the starfish and the power of your communication with the truthful, and a willingness to peruse and wander around in the dark, knowing that you don't know what's in there and that you might trip and fall occasionally. So what's the value of this conflict? We have the High Priestess. I literally said you might be a seer, so that's kind of confirmed. It's part of your purpose to be this way. Queen of Swords, which is sorrowful or wise, which is, it's funny that that's kind of coming out as being synonymous here, because I think that's honestly pretty true. Princess of Wands and Five of Wands. So yeah, you're being moved, like you're being encroached upon by this the root chakra defense mechanisms of the government. In some kind of way, you look like the op. So now like there's the desire to like remove you as an obstacle. I feel like you have to believe in the fact that your position is like one that has been bestowed upon you, that you've inherited in some kind of way, that you're meant for, and then just come to your own defense here, because your defense is valid. There's not a lot of continued oppression that you can experience, and like, yeah, you will experience it, but it can't maintain itself without basis for long enough especially if you are fully utilizing whatever intelligence you clearly have at your disposal. And it seems like your intelligence is not only social and emotional in terms of like diplomacy and communication, but also with like, you know, maybe writing or speaking or diplomacy. Like it just feels like you have the tools necessary to eventually overpower this energy, even if you are initially, you know, this is the energy of like in that scene in the movie when like the hero is like completely, like, you know, even in Hercules when the Hydra, yes, there's so many snakes here, and they like all get on top of him, and he's like, oh, he's dead, he's gotta be dead, he's dead for sure, and then he just like pops out. That's what this is. So you're facing like insurmountable odds, sorrowful wise, because that's the real, like realistically speaking, this is a major opponent, and like you would be dumb to not realize it as such. But like when you approach this in the right way, which I feel like you'll be guided to do, kind of maybe even naturally, you are a worthy opponent. And then when you have the attention of this situation, you may even have the ability to make amends and become a friend. Like this is a situation where when you become so powerful, once again, because your mastery outgoes theirs, even if you don't have enough proof of it in the material world yet, because you could be younger or whatever, or alien, starfish, like Aquarius energy. But whatever, you're coming into this already having things that give you what you need to come out on top. Once you come out on top, you're respected as an equal. And then there's the opportunity to become a friend, if you choose to. Because it seems like these people might change their tune once they realize that it's not really worth it to continue to oppose you. But that whole like opposing you thing has to go through, because these seem like prideful people who are very attached to their positions of dominance. So they're not going to just readily give it up, because in their mind, like they are the gods of the world. So you have to kind of prove yourself to be a god of the world in order for gods of the world to recognize you as someone they want to shake hands with. But I do feel like that's happening. Like your status, your worthiness of attention is pretty much guaranteed by the end of this. Okay, so now we're going to clarify how you're coming out. Yes, tonight will be the night that I will fall for you over again. I'm so impressionable. Okay, so let's see how you're coming out. 5 of Cups. So yeah, you're in the shit of it at first, and that's your truth. So once again, like writing could be something that helps, especially if you're like in the beginning place of a beef with the government. If I could redo my beef with the government, I would document everything down to the day, and then I'd have a fat juicy case. But I didn't document everything down to the day. I documented a lot, but I was just a little dude maneuvering through the world. So you might be in that phase where you're not really feeling competent. But once again, remember that you already have like the skills that you need. You already have everything you need, even though it's raining right now. If you're going through a hard time with the government right now, there's a rainbow eventually. And the rainbow's gonna be forgiveness, right? So there could be a literal like exchange. Like if you're waiting for something from the government and they're like withholding something from you, it feels like that like you eventually get clearance and access. Whatever, but you have to like maybe prove that and prove that through like suffering wrath. Like, I mean, like, dude, why you're suffering the wrath is because they need to make sure that you can suffer the wrath. They you know, like, this is like the energy of kind of like weeding out the weak a little bit. So if you're like wanting to join the government, because some of you guys aren't even really opposing the government, like you might have like occasional beef or whatever, like they might know you or whatever for whatever reason. But some of you guys actually want a business relationship, because there's a lot of like karmic 7th house energy, which talks about business. Like contracts, marriages, long-term arrangements. So if you're like, I want to work with the government, I want to be the government's friend, then maybe you need to tell the government that you want to be their friend. Or like, you know, this is like also the energy of like reaching out to a recruiter and being like, here's what I want to do. Like, can I do this? Or like, how can I do this? But that requires you kind of like telling God, like telling Zeus, like, hey, here's who I am. You know, like, this is my wish. I'm a star. And then like hoping that they see you that way. And then they might not initially, like that's what I'm kind of getting. They might not initially. So you might have to like once again prove yourself. Yeah, like I'm kind of getting that they might see you as like soft or something, which is why they might be bullying you, because they can and they're reptilian. And but the good thing is that you can regenerate really quickly, so it's not even I'm pretty sure I got like a drink roofied the other day, like not the other day but like a couple weeks ago at a UFC fight that I went to, and then I literally was like outside the place like throwing up for like I don't even know how long. I was like, I only drank 2 beers and I was like down bad, like, and I'm not even like that light of a weight. So you could have literally like had someone like try to attempt your life, and if you're like overcoming that, then that's like proving that you're not a bitch, basically. And in the masculine world, and we're talking about divine masculine energy, you kind of do have to prove that you're not a bitch, and people have to see you not being a bitch, like that. You have to like communicate that through action here. So if the world is like previously conceiving you as bitch, then you might have to take a lot of extra shit for the fact that you come off as something that is like pure, softer, nicer, or different. They just don't even know what you are, if you're a bitch or not. They want to find out. And when I say bitch, I don't always mean like, I don't just mean pussy. I also mean like not a competent opponent. So it could, if one of your strengths is like intellect, technical skills, this is like a test of your technical skills. Like hackers before they get jobs, like how they interview is they have to break into somebody's system. Like you have to literally hack the system in order to prove that you can hack, basically. So they like have them do test hacks. So expect to be tested in whatever way. For your like social and emotional strengths, for your physical strengths and endurance, your capacity for darkness, like depth of character here, dark side of the moon. 6 of Pentacles in reverse. I just heard in my head, ain't no bitch in me, so you might have to communicate your willingness to oppose this force before it respects you. That means like you might have to get into a fight. Even if you don't win that fight. It doesn't even matter. It's about like the principle of the thing. And like you get respect for showing depth and strength of character. Resilience. And then the beginning, literally. So you might literally end up walking into some kind of abundance through a relationship with the government after you beat the government in some kind of way. But you have to be like motivated intrinsically to do what's required to like maybe unlock the internal strengths that are already available to you. Like this power that you're inheriting maybe even comes through the overcoming of the pain. Like you might have to go through that pain, and you might know what that pain is going to be before you go into it, but you have to go into it knowing that you're going to receive it. Like one of the things that happens a lot in the military is there's a lot of like sexual abuse. There's a lot of abuse of a lot of different kinds, but also sexual abuse. And it's like once you go through that, you're kind of like one of us. It's like a humiliation ritual. So, you know, you might have to be humiliated, and you know, you might know that's coming, and you might not like how that happens, but you know, if you decide that it's worth it, and not all of you will, but if you decide that it's worth it, there's something about having a relationship with this force that's governing that could give you some greater access and power in the material world. So everybody gets to choose what they want to sacrifice, but I do feel like there is a sacrifice, but you do gain ultimately. Okay, jeez Louise, man, that's crazy. Let's get into pile number 4, clusterfuck, which honestly kind of slides right in. Phrasing. It's time for clusterfuck. I'm sorry for anybody who like knows me from Island of Lions and is like, who is this pervert? You guys didn't know I had this side to me. I kept this to myself on purpose because I was like, this is my shadow, you know? But I feel like there's a value to like letting people know that I'm kind of fucked up too. Like I'm not like any less fucked up than anybody else. I'm, you know, maybe even uniquely fucked up. Okay, so your karma is the tamer. Affirmation, I believe my cause to be just, without anger at those who disagree. Number 38. And the picture is this. You can hear my cat chewing in the background because she's chewing in the background. Then we have the fly, simplicity, and childhood. I don't know why I feel like this is like backwards, but let's see. Yin, moon, accept help. And then the clusterfuck. Its karma is the warrior. Number 1, affirmation, I ask for what I want because I deserve to get what I want. Let me make sure this guy's not naked. He is a little naked. I might have to cover him. Okay, and then we have the transformer. Number 20, affirmation, I transform myself as a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. And this is the picture. Oh, I don't have to cover it because I don't have to. Yeah, it's secret. It's a secret. But yeah, these are such nice pictures. I'm gonna leave this one up though. Maybe. I might need to see it. I'll leave it for now. I don't know why I want to show it so bad. Okay. We literally have butterfly, transformation and poetry, which this card just talked about. And then abundance, domicile moon, sacral energy. So for a lot of you, this will definitely involve some kind of sexual altercation. And I'm saying altercation, so it feels like it's like rough or like Jesus Christ. Okay, so first of all, I want to say once again, I posted in the community tab a link to watch Berserk. If you haven't already, like, if you're not already familiar with that timeline and you're feeling drawn to this reading specifically, you're going to want to familiarize yourself with the eclipse arc because this is exactly the energy that I feel like this represents. So, in this clusterfuck energy, you're being basically bombarded by the shadow of your life, and like just everything surrounding you kind of feels like it's attacking you. And it's meant to make you into this kind of like warrior. So I call myself Soldier of Sekhmet. I'm only just now really using this name like for this account seriously because I'm only just now having I recently just had a split moment even in my own personality where I experienced something that was kind of so dark that it like literally changed me as a person, and I don't know that it'll ever be who I was before. And that's kind of what this energy is. It's like this is a situation divinely orchestrated to come in and completely change you to your core as a person. You'll never be the same. You're starting a new journey, a new arc, and like there's nothing you can do to avoid that because this is also meant for you or like fated for you. You also can't escape this. You're meant to just kind of be like embracing this head on and like wearing the mark that comes along with this. Because I feel like it follows you even beyond this experience. And I had just spoken with the government in the last part of that reading, so if you just watched this, you almost certainly probably want to watch the government reading. But yeah, you might have some kind of new affiliations or new possibilities or like new wings available through going through this portal. But this does kind of feel like a dark portal, and we understand this, but we also understand that what's on the other side of this portal is in some kind of way either necessary or beneficial. So with you coming out as the tamer, your karma is to kind of like have self-control or to at least be able to control your internal world in such a way that you're able to navigate your way through this intense darkness. Like you're gonna go through something really difficult here that you're gonna maybe need emotional help to recover from. And even if you're not asking for this help from someone else, it's important that you are able to like, she's sitting with her like knees crossed up. I sit the same exact way in the shower, and I sit in the shower and like, you know, just kind of dissociate. And I do that usually when I'm like really down bad because I'm not like a crier really, but I am a person who will like stop feeling alive and like completely leave their body. So that could be something that you're struggling with in this energy, is because so much of what is in your external environment is uncomfortable. You start to like completely dissociate with your physical form and literally become someone else. Like this could be like the energy of your body being like driven by something else, like if not by something else, then just by like an autopilot kind of an energy until you finish this transformation. So if it's like fight, flight, or free, oh my god, fight, flight, or freeze, and this is like more of a freeze energy, because you can't really leave this. You're stuck in this until this is over. But then once this is over, you have more power is as soon as you transmute it. And there's different ways a person can choose to transmute power. So like I prefer to internally combust. I would much rather hurt myself than I would hurt other people on most days. And that's most days. It's not every day. But most days I'd rather like internalize. I'll either like smoke, drink, I used to self-harm, stuff like that, right? But if you're a different kind of person, maybe a more sadistic person, I'm definitely more of a masochist, then you might have some kind of awakening through this pain that you've experienced to be more likely or more inclined to ripple that back out into the world, right? So you might find yourself becoming this same force if you don't address the pain that you've experienced here. Like, you don't have to allow yourself to transform into something that you don't like if you don't want to. But it's important for you to have control and to not sacrifice too much of yourself in a situation. You don't want to sacrifice too much. You might have to sacrifice some things, right? But not everything. Unless you're willing to. Unless you're completely submitting here. And some of you guys may not have any choice but to do that. So. There could be triggers at this time through like all this chaotic energy that's transforming you to your childhood and the dynamics that exist there. Or there could be some kind of early abuse that you suffered that makes this abuse seem less significant. Especially if you're a woman and this is sexual abuse. Or just sexual violation or sexual exploitation. Okay, so why is this weapon forming? Happiness in reverse, freedom, and message of peace in reverse. So yeah, message of peace in reverse next to the warrior. For some of you guys, whatever you're experiencing literally hardens you and makes you more likely to become a weapon for either yourself or someone else that you're associated with in this transformation. Yeah, I mean, whatever happiness and freedom exists isn't existing in the current moment of this situation. It's more like you're making an investment into that over the long term. And you don't really get to touch any of that until after the transformation. So you have to go into this knowing that you're initially losing more than you're gaining. And that may be a tough pill to swallow if you're struggling to like understand why you're in the situation that you're in, especially like if you're not feeling internally motivated to go down this path. Like if you're feeling forced down this path, then that'll be something that you struggle with more than if you wanted to. Even flow. Okay, what's the value of this? We have the Princess of Pentacles, scholarly. Okay, so if this isn't like sexual pressure, then this is also like make or break situations in your life. Like everything's on the line right now. I could lose everything if I don't come out, if I don't make something happen here. And if that's the case, try to like remain in control of yourself. Remember like who you are to a certain extent here. Four of Cups, reevaluation. Three of Pentacles, charity in reverse. And the Hermit, Virgo energy. Yeah. I feel like there's something that changes about you. I don't know that it's something that you like. You know those changes that happen in your life that like you don't necessarily, you wouldn't have chosen it for yourself, but it just kind of happens and now you're just a result of it. You're the result of some other function that you just happen to be around. Like, it's almost as if you're a bystander to your own life through whatever submission that either you've given up or forced into. Because this clusterfuck energy could have even like began in the childhood home, because I did see the childhood energy over there. So in some way it can feel unavoidable, especially if it's been following you around for a long time. Like, I'm a person who karmically has a lot of like I guess I've been fated for a lot of like sexual traumas. Like, I've had a lot of those even since like being like a baby. So you might just need to know, like, you're a diamond being formed by pressure, that you can't escape this, that like, yes, this is gonna maybe even continue to happen. Like, this might not just happen one time. That's what I'm saying. This might not just happen one time. So you kind of like, the value of this is whatever internal and personal strength you get from figuring out how to cope with your life circumstances, because there's no avoiding that. This pain is almost like fated for you. So, like, you know that statistic about how 97% of women have had sexual assault in their life? Everyone over 13, like 97% of us, have been touched inappropriately in some kind of way, to whatever extent. So, like, that's the energy, is like, if you're a woman, then like, boom, this is your life. Like, this is you have to deal with. Like, congratulations, you're gonna get touched, you know? So if it's like that, and if it's like something other than being a woman, if it is something that you agreed to, like you're joining a group, you're coming out of some kind of isolation to come into a group, and then there's like a hazing process. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen Jarhead, like what happens to Bro when he first gets into the little platoon, and they literally like brand him against his will. Like, can you imagine how terrifying that must have been? So like, this is that kind of situation where, like, yeah, like, dude, like, undeniably you're getting fucked, but you know, you can choose how you respond to that, and hopefully the situation, you know how to handle it in a way that you remain internally secure, that you can like grow from it, use some of this as fuel, and become internally refined, and not have to like then inflict this energy back out onto other people, because some people who would align with this clusterfuck would just become the clusterfuckers, you know? And I don't know that that's who you want to be. It's totally up to you if you want to be that. But yeah. Let's see how you're coming out on the other end of this. How is pile number 4 coming out on the other end of this eclipse? Even flow. 6 of Wands. This is success. So, like, just straight out the gate, like, this feels like it's worth it in the end if you go through with it. But you might just need to, like, get out of your head about it. And, like, and literally, in some cases, dissociate. Like, if you can't be in the fire, try to leave the fire. Like, just mentally, at least. I just heard Gone Girl in my head. Like, some of you guys are, like, literally going crazy. And, like, the challenge is to, like, maintain sanity. And that is a, like, legitimate challenge here. Like, it would make entire sense why you would lose your mind. And, in fact, maybe people expect you to. So, you know, that could be part of the reason why it's happening. So you gotta just stay strong here and defend your ground. I am my perimeter is me. Dude. Dude, this is just... Yeah, man. You're gonna... Okay. This whole energy kind of like says Capricorn to me, because you're gonna go through like some of the hardest things in the world and then be on top of the world after you go through that. And that's why your mentality is so important, because if you can see long term, then like what you're suffering through right now, you understand the insignificance of it in the grander scheme. And that's the truer, like, that's the cookie here. That's when you get to like really enjoy your life despite the fact that it sucks. Because you're like, oh my god, this sucks right now, but I already know this isn't gonna suck forever. Or, I'm not gonna suck forever. You know? Yeah, long-term focus yields long-term rewards. Keep your eyes on the prize here. Go through the shit if you have to go through the shit. But know that you're not going to have to do that forever. I wish there was a better way. I wish there was like better, like, you know, something I could say that's nice about this. But this is genuinely a clusterfuck, and you are genuinely being changed by it. Maybe for the worse for some of you guys. Who can say it's the wheel of fortune? Who knows? But all I know is that the situation is not permanent. So don't kill yourself or anything, right? Like, don't kill yourself. Just try to like remember that what you're working towards and your ability to achieve it doesn't change because of this pain. And if you choose to use it as power, it may even fuel some of your public growth, right? So I know a lot of men, right? And I'm just, you know, if this isn't you, then this isn't you. I know a lot of men who become physically strong because of past experiences related to feeling weak. And I'll just leave it at that. But that opens up a lot of opportunities for a person. Physical strength, like as a man, you can do a lot of stuff with that. It can like translate into some kind of like career growth, you know? So try to find ways to invest even your pain into becoming, once again, a more refined item next to the warrior here. Like, you do have freedom here to choose happiness, even if it's hard to find. You might have to create it for yourself through the vision of your future. Which, once again, like, you came into this feeling like awesome and great and like confident, and then you get the outcome, but there's a lot of shit in between. You didn't maybe expect all that shit, but how could you, you know? So just commit, be developed by it, understand, like, keep the mindset that this is happening for the better of you. Even I know that it sucks, but like, and I hate giving this advice because I know how it feels to like literally be getting fucked and, you know, nobody coming to help. So like, this is, you know, tough, but long-term growth. Long-term growth is the key here. That's the cookie, that's the idea, that's the icing on the cake here. So just focus on the sweetness that exists even in your own mind when it's not available in the like physical reality. The tower and the high priestess and the sun. Holy shit. Spiritually speaking, lots of development, even if this does end up like darkening your soul a little bit or creating a split personality. But who could blame you? Who could blame you, man? All right, that's the end of the live. So thanks for watching this. If you were here, we have 10/10, so I actually feel good because that's a pretty good sign of completion. And I'm going to go ahead and end it. If you liked it, please, please, please like it, comment, share, whatever you feel like you want to do. But yeah, thanks. Bye.